Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Champions Corner interview. And today we have Zack, the Zack Attack Bell, our latest Grand Open champion based out of the Tulsa Regional. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a great event. I was happy I got to see you there. But for those that might not be familiar with you or who you are, haven't been to one of the events yet, give us a little bit of a backstory. What other card games you've come from, and how long you've been playing, and all that good stuff.
So I'm actually probably one of the newer people to card games in not only the community but the Discord. I played Shadowverse online a few years back. That was actually how I got into it. Got up to master rank, all that fun stuff. I played the Hack card game, which is just a dead card game. I played a little bit of Shadowverse and I played Cross, which is a fun game but not the best game to be competitive in. So this is my first like big premium card game with a large prize pool. And really, I'm just lucky to have a bunch of friends who are really good at the game, who are able to kind of get me up to speed, get me around. And I've just been testing this game nonstop since like 2 months before release, as soon as we had proxies. Like, this game has been awesome. It's like the card game enthusiast game.
Yeah, and you've been having some great success with it too. Your name is constantly up there with performing well. Obviously, we gotta give a shout out to Ryan Matas as well, who's been there, kind of side by side, both battling out, both wonderful players. But we gotta go back to it really quick since you mentioned Shadowverse, and those who watch the channel know that I'm also a huge Shadowverse fan. So, what did you play? What was your favorite craft, or was it like a mix of crafts?
So I started with Tempo Forest with Roach, which was awesome. And then I did Sword Midrange, which was great. And then actually what I settled on was D-Shift. I loved D-Shift so
Nice.
much. D-Shift was just great. It felt like the premium control deck. I mean, there was Daria too that was a bit degenerate. I had
Just
Daria sleeves. Those are the ones I did in Ohio top 8. Always loved Daria. Absolutely cute. D-Shift girl. Awesome. Any forest deck, any sword deck. I played Bloodcraft, which I guess now is Abyss.
yep.
And then mostly D-Shift.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's like I said, I've been playing on and off for was it 7 years? I think they just had their anniversary. So I am for those that also know Shadowverse Evolve, little sad I don't get my portal craft because that's what I actually main, but it's good all the same. But we're not talking about Shadowverse today. Today we're talking about Battle Spirits Saga. So tell us a little bit about the tournament experience. Now, I was there and I got to see all the cool venue, and I hopefully had some good food as well. But just tell us about your travels. How was the journey to get to the venue?
It was pretty rough. So we live in Virginia. It's like 5 or 6 hours by plane. We got to the airport, and unfortunately, we couldn't board the flight. We were stuck in the airport for 12 hours,
Ooh.
and we spent literally the entire day Friday in the airport. I have allergies, so I got to prepare all my food. Pretty much ate everything I had Friday. So Saturday, I just ate literally nothing. So we came in under eaten, underslept. It was pretty rough, but I mean, anybody that knows Matas knows that he never sleeps and he always wins. So I tried to
I
I
don't know
tried to take
how.
a page from his book.
I don't know how he does it. I really don't. But yeah, get some good sleep. Make sure to stay hydrated, get sleep. That's a popular motto around here. But yeah, that is really bad. Hopefully, you got a chance to find some good food on Saturday then after the long rounds. But speaking about the rounds and what you played, and I know some people have seen your deck list already. For those that maybe not, I'll put it here up on the screen. Just give the overall view. But purple tempo. Don't call it aggro. Don't call it mid range. A lot of us were kind of like figuring out what to call it in the Discord in real time. But this is a list I looked at and I'm just like, I don't know where to start. Like, you had to have put in just massive, massive reps to get to this point. So, what ultimately got you to this list? What else were you maybe testing or considering for Tulsa? But obviously, you took it all down in Camelot Knight, the MVP mascot of the weekend. But, tell us a bit about the deck selection process.
Oh man, so we had a team going. It was Team Zack and Ryan, best team. So we had Zack, Ryan. It was Zack Tufford, Ryan Miles, Ryan Matas, and myself. And so basically, at first we wanted to test Pterosaur, see what Pterosaur could do into Axe Better. We spent a long time on that because we felt Pterosaur had the best matchups across the field. And we just couldn't get Pterosaur to the point where it could consistently beat Axe Better post board. It really just came down to Igus and the 8 drops. Like, if you run Death Mountains, they just have too many good 8 drops. Igus with 4/4s just stops your deck. Yada yada yada. So we tried purple. We went through so many purple decks. It must have been like actually over 20. We played Nemesis for about a week and a half. We tried that. We tried like every version of Nemesis you could try with like all the other boss spirits, all the sideboards, all that. Nemesis felt good, but it just didn't feel good enough into the field. We didn't feel it was good enough against aggro, Pterosaur, or Axe Spider. We tried core control. So I thought that was a pretty good idea because it was good in everything but Pterosaur, and I could side in 10 cards for Axe Spider and still win. Even though game one was rough, I couldn't make it beat Terrorsaur. It just lost every single time. So then we were basically just out of ideas. Ryan Miles and Zach Tufford went to aggro, and then Ryan Matas and I were testing Maduke high end, and basically trying to make a Maduke turbo deck that was really greedy with a ton of spells, using Worker Ant-Man to ramp, Dragonaga and other early spirits to draw, and just having tech options for every matchup. We had spells for aggro, we had Curse Dragon for aggro, we had Maduke and Dream Bombs for Axe Spider, and our deck was just generally really good against the field with a ton of tech options. If played properly, the deck should be able to beat everything and feel like it has everything. But the problem we couldn't overcome was that the deck, just due to being how it is with that spell base that you need to be able to play the game and win right now, is unfortunately susceptible to breaking.
Yeah, the law lists right now are very heavy on the Burning Forests and Dream Bombs, and a lot too are trying to lean into the Thorn Prison, just kind of clear the way for Axe Spider, or just other decks in general, right? I think Thorn Prison has really been the breakout card of the set 2 meta. I know that every time that I play it in a non-green list, I'm like, man, this is just, I'll pay 4 for it. That's fine. I'll pop an Ice Shield or, get in a couple points of damage in a single turn. It's been really, really great for that. So in terms of, cards that maybe overperformed or that were the big MVP for you overall for the weekend, is there one in particular that you felt that kind of carried you for the weekend? Or is it just overall, because of the refinement and how the spells were laid out in the deck overall, that you felt like everything was about equal?
Oh man. So first, I actually have to go with my boy Leafwolf. Like Leafwolf was really nice for me because the thing is, all the good spells nowadays are doing things like Thorn Prison, which is it's taking your active board and it's downing it. Doing things like Deadly Bounce, which is taking active spirits and killing them, which gives you cores in the reserve. Dream Bomb, same thing. All of them have to do with active spirits. So you wait till they do their answer, you play Leafwolf, and you get in that extra point of damage after their answer. I think there were 4 games that Leafwolf got my opponent to 1, which allowed me to set up like a Dream Bomb Thorn Prison or like a Deadly Balance Core Theft Thorn Prison or something with like 2 or 3 spells just to get everything out of the way and then push that final point of damage. Because if you hold spells, you're able to just combine them repeatedly to be able to force through 1 extra point of damage. Other than that, I'd say Dream Bomb. That card is insane. When you're bricked, you can literally pass turn 1, pass turn 2, and then they can't attack you. If they attack you, you literally just reach parity. You're like, hey, I just gained 2 cores. I gained 2 cards. Nothing happened. It didn't matter that I was bricked. Dream Bomb's crazy. And then, of course, I have to say Maduke. Maduke was just insane every match I played her. Joker was great post side. And Lamorak, every single time that I played Lamorak with Rotting and had another spirit, my opponent would just be like, yeah, that's like kind of broken.
Yeah.
Because you could just loop Aglaville with Soul Core. It's crazy. I would say just the spells in general were really, really, really huge. But without Worker Ant-Man, the deck just wouldn't be possible. You need the reduction and you need the ramp. The deck is greedy and it needs cores. So Worker Ant-Man literally made this deck possible to play. I think without Ant-Man, this is just a pile of cards.
Yeah, Worker Ant-Man in general has been finding its way into a lot of off-green style of lists. Again, it's just an early drop, 4K for 2, which is really good. Ramping extra cores is really good. And a lot of times you've been finding out now with you have reduction in yellow. Green itself has ways to flash in strike if you want to, just get more BP trades, stuff like that. There's a lot of ways that you can protect the Worker Ant early on, or especially like the Dream Bomb play that you end up making, where you can continue this ramp and get all these extra cores to, in your case, right, want to have flexibility in paying those spells, or just ramping up into late game Maduke, right? We think back to Gen Con event with some of those early green purple lists that were just so heavy on things like the early Worker Ant-Man plays. And they were also playing like Emerald Man to get the extra when destroyed. But I've been finding a lot in testing, as I'm sure you have, like Worker Ant-Man just ramps 2 or 3 by himself. And if it goes longer than that, even great. You're getting a lot of cores that way. So I really think overall Worker Ant-Man has been doing a lot of work, maybe not as much in mono green as we'd like compared to how well he's been seeing play elsewhere. But, green's going to find a spot eventually, or at least, well, we can hope so. Moving on from the, cards itself, let's talk about some of the matchups. You don't have to go to every single play-by-play for these Swiss rounds, but I'll be curious to know, what was your favorite matchup that you wanted to run into, and what was the one you really wanted to avoid and just get through Swiss and not see it at all, right? Because a lot of times, Battle Spirit Saga is just the matchup lotto sometimes if you think about Swiss, because there was a Nova deck that made top 32. You talked about the mid-range and control variants of purple. There was actually every purple archetype represented in top 16. maybe because of depths and other reasons, but hey, it was all there. So all purple was represented in many different styles. But for your list, what did you want to play into and avoid for your Swiss rounds?
So the matchup that I really didn't want to face was Pterosaur, and I didn't face Pterosaur, so it worked out really well. I think like any purple deck that we've ever made has never been over 50% into Pterosaur, and 50% still generous. This deck actually does the best out of any deck we've made just because it can use its defense offensively. So they're attacking you, Thorn Prison, cool. Now you can go through your 4 wide, get the Ice Shield, all that. But I still never want to play the deck. It's just always going to be a bad matchup. Other than that, I didn't want to face Nova. I did face Nova. I didn't lose, thankfully, but it was very close. It was a really crazy game. And the deck that I actually wanted to tech into was Axe Spider. I was literally hoping that half my pools would be Axe Spider, and half my pools were Axe Spider. I faced 4 Axe Spiders out of 7 rounds. And the funny part was we made the deck to beat Axe Spider. That was the entire intention. But I still lost to Axe Spider twice.
What was there a key turn that you lost to when you were playing against Axe Spider? Was it just the sequencing? Did the deck brick? Because as you mentioned earlier, right, it was susceptible to that. But was there any like key parts that you felt that either helped or ultimately the negative outcome that you lost against those Axe Spider matchups?
I think game 2 against every single Axe Spider deck I rigged. So there was definitely that. I feel like game 2, pretty much every game was just a non-game because I just bricked poorly, and then I'd lay down a hand with like Ice Shield, Dream Bomb, Burning Force, Black Lance. It's like, well, what can you do? But really both times I lost in time. And I think that partially that's on me. You just need to know when to concede game 2. Like one of the games against Caleb, game 2, I had a Joker in hand. He was at 2, and I was really hoping to just like top deck a second Joker. I gave myself 2 turns for it, and I figured if I top decked it, I could get the double unblockable. If he Dream Bombs one, I can play both next turn. But I think probably I should have just conceded that game to give myself more time game 3 because I was in a favorable position when time was called. And then my last round as well. Unfortunately, time was called. A lot of times, to be honest, even against Axe Spider, the deck is so strong that if I don't find my sideboard cards and they pop an early elephant and they just get it down on the board, even if I avoid killing it, it's such a strong deck that even a deck spec towards it can't beat it if it draws within that top 25% of its range.
Yeah, even for those that don't know, I was playing Axe Spider myself this past weekend, and there were random games where it's like I just saw 0 Axe Spiders, 0 suppression, and was just like still winning matchups sometimes. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I stuck the depths, got +5 off of it, and I still have insane things like Elephant and Aegis at the top end that just heals and then bounces stuff. So some of the openings that deck gets just feels completely unlosable, right? But I also did have the case where I just like completely bricked a couple games. I'm like, why am I playing this deck this weekend? But that is just card games at the end of the day sometimes. But thinking about the Axe Spider matchup, and especially for those that might be going to the Monroeville Grand Open, which at the time of this recording is 12 days away or something like that, very, very soon. That might want to take your list. With one, I'd probably say, hey, start practicing now because I'm sure it's going to take a lot of reps. But is there anything that you would change for the deck? Is there anything we talked about Leaf Wolf being a one of, if I'm not mistaken, and somehow that guy was just the real MVP? But would you go up to 2 copies maybe, or is there any other changes that you might make to the deck overall?
So in testing the entire time, we just tried to fit 2 Leaf Wolf into every deck because we think the card is just great. The problem is that this deck is just so unbelievably greedy, and it's really a problem with the format because, like, with a deck like Axe Spider, really, what is Axe Spider? Axe Spider is an incredibly greedy deck that 25% of the game it bricks and you win automatically. 50% of the game it's the best deck in format and it's really hard to win. And then the other 25% when it hits its upper range, it's unbeatable by any deck, period. Like, it's unreal. So we were like, okay, we have to have all the tools in the meta. So we were really greedy with our spells. We played a ton of spirits that just drew us cards or got us cores, or had curse, which were great. And then from there, it was just like, okay, how do I create a greedy deck that if you run hot with it, you can beat any deck? And that was kind of our principle while making it. But the problem with the deck, and this leads to changes, is that it is bricky, and while it can beat any deck, it can't beat every deck. So you can draw some hands that are completely mismatched against what you're facing. And really the biggest thing the deck needs is, it was 25 spirits, 26 spells. We need to cut 1 spell for another spirit. That was what we confirmed. Basically, we just need another Lamorak. Lamorak's an early value engine. He works with all your early cards. You attack with Dragon Naga, you can get him back. You attack with Eggleville, you can get him back. Even if you're attacking with Curse, getting the card back while drawing 2 from Rotting, if you have 2 Rottings, is just insane because we play 4. We decided that we need to keep in most of the spells. Burning Force is really the issue because we don't want to play 4, but we have to.
Yep.
We were thinking of moving 1 Dream Bomb to the side, cutting a side card, and then bringing in Lamrack to the main. Other than that, it's really difficult to find any changes for the deck. But I would warn anybody who does want to play it, you have to practice it a lot. It's a hard deck to play. It's really decision rich, and it is a greedy deck. So you are going to brick a lot. You're going to have to find your way out of bricks. But if you draw well, the deck feels like it can beat anything. So it's a similar premise to Axe Spider. It has all the tools to deal with the entire format, and that's why we felt it was a good choice. But there are a lot of cons to it, just like Axe Spider as well.
Yeah, it is impossible at the end of the day to make sure you have all the tech, because we just have a 10-card sideboard, and until blue comes out, I don't expect anyone to religiously run a 60-card deck. But maybe when we see the mill color get added to Battle Spirit Saga in about 2 months, maybe people will. So I guess from there, it really just comes down to a conversation of myself. I played the Axe Spider deck this weekend. It was an experience. I personally, I've played a lot of card games. I lived through the chain format in Flesh and Blood. Like, that's kind of like the key example that I always go back to, because that was my most recent experience, where it was just like, yeah, you want to qualify for nationals, just go play chain, right? Like, it sucks. It's the best deck in format. It's really unfun to play against, but you at least in chain, you got to do cool stuff. Like, there was cool combos you could pull off, but like, me personally, I don't even enjoy playing Axe Spider. Like, it's just such a bleh deck to play, where it's just like some turns you're just sitting there like, oh, all right, well, draw, go. And I played blue in Magic, but it's like worse than that strictly. Like, there's no, I don't wish from a game balance standpoint, but I wish white had like Swift built in, or maybe that's what I got to do next, build like a white-green Swift deck, right? Just something that allowed me to be a little bit more proactive on my opponent's turn, or just find a way to better progress the board state that isn't just wait for Derm Dino. Or I guess, some people are playing Elk in their defense, but it did not feel good playing that through a whole grand open experience. So again, at least for me personally, I'm not playing that in Pennsylvania. Like I said, I'll play something green or I'll play something yellow. I just want to have fun and have a good time with it. But, there has been a lot of discussion in the community leading up to this, and talking about, we got the dev update the dev update on last Friday about, they're watching certain cards in the meta. Axe Spider has made over 50% of the representation, excluding the Netherlands event. And I did a small disclaimer before the comments get mad at me, right? I understand the Netherlands Grand Open was most likely people just picking comfort decks, and then the meta quickly shifted back to what it was, the best deck in format, because we saw it at the Pro Tour, we saw it at Tulsa, I'm sure we'll see it in Roseville, but Axe Spider and Depths are just very strong cards. So, that's probably all that I want to say at my lowly top 32 placing self. So, Zach, what are your thoughts on the format overall, and how things might looking forward to Monroeville and other Grand Opens in this season?
So it's really tough. I think a lot of us got into this game because we wanted a game with really good mechanics, and we absolutely loved the game set one. I think that every single player who went to the Pro Tour and really tested competitively every single day suffered to some degree. And there definitely did come down a question to, why are we playing this game? And so we enter set 2, and we're hoping that aggro is going to dethrone Axe Spider. And for the first few weeks, there was talk of that. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out at all. And really, it's just because of 2 incredibly problematic cards that we just have really big issues with, and these stop aggro too. And it's like you said, it's Netherworld Depths, it's Axe Spider. So I mean, like, we're sitting here, we test an absurd amount. Like, we'll test like 4 to 8 hours a day. And in testing, this is one of the biggest issues we have, is if someone's ahead and then their opponent plays Depths on 3 and the game rides out, that game literally means nothing for testing. Depths throw it on 3, okay, go next. Oh, okay, I'm pressuring into you, you're getting low, I have good tempo. Oh, but turn 8, you played an uncontested Depths and drew 5 cards? It doesn't matter. Okay, Axe Spider, nice. Oh, he opened Depths? All right, I don't have Burning Force, I lose. It got to a point where we had to literally say, go through your deck and find a Burning Force so that we can reach parity and keep playing the game.
Yep.
So we would have nights where we test 6 or 8 hours, and we would literally have 2 or 3 hours worth of usable testing because of how much these decks were ruining the game, especially with a deck that high rolls so much, and then on its low end just bricks to itself. So not only is it not fun for the community, it's not fun from a testing perspective. It's not efficient from a testing perspective. And every single player that I test with and that I play with has gone from a perspective of, man, I can't wait to get off work to go to locals or to go play Battle Spirits too. Man, this really sucks. I hate waking up every day having to go home from work and playing Battle Spirits. And really, at the end of every testing session, we weren't happy. We weren't satisfied with our results. We were just driving ourselves further into madness, trying to find a way to beat this. And every single session, someone went away tilted. There was never a testing session we all just ended and we were like, oh, okay, that was a great one. Either 1, 2, 3, 4 people were tilted every single time because it's a maddening meta to play in. And it really sucks because we used to love this game. Every single player that I used to play with, pretty much all of them either hate playing the game actively or don't play the game anymore. And that goes for other Grand Open champions that I know. That goes for online winners that I know. We shouldn't have so many people with champion soul cores rotting in their desks because they no longer want to play the game. And it's really gotten to a point where people have said, I'm going to come back when this game is playable again. And it feels like unless you make your way out of the minigame, you're not actually playing Battle Spirits anymore. And honestly, at this point, all we want to do is be able to use the new cards we've been given to make decks. We want to actually have aggro have a place instead of, oh, he played Depths on 2 with Ice Shield, I can't win. We want to actually give room in the meta for other decks, and we want to have people who supported and defended this game the entire time, who have been playing, who've been testing, who've been a great community of awesome people to be able to like the game again and not just hate the game and wish that they didn't have to play it. So, I mean, I think I stand for every competitive player that I know when I say that Depths needs a ban, X-Spider needs a ban. Worst case, limit 1 on X-Spider, but you can't limit Depths to 1. If you limit Depths to 1, every deck will play it. Yep. Once it's found, the game is over, and then you still have to run the Burning Forces. The biggest issue we have here is this deck isn't optimal. I don't want to play this deck as it is, but I have to run 4 Burning Force, because if I don't run 4 Burning Force, the game is over. And so now I'm playing this clunky deck where I end up with 3 Burning Forces in hand and brick half my games because I'm still trying to play the game and get through the mini game. It completely destroys deck building or any level of creativity, and it's toxic for the game. We have people from our locals who are top players who literally don't want to play the game anymore, even though nobody at our locals plays Axe-Spider, because they just don't even want the chance of having to play it and don't want to support a game that has that kind of deck in the game. So we want to be able to say to those people, hey, like, we heard you. Everyone, not only the local players, the top players, the people who have supported the game, the communities, and we want to say, hey, we have a game for you that you can play. We're going to listen to you. We're going to make changes accordingly. And we're going to finally do the things that we should have done probably months ago, because we've known this has been a problem for a long time, and make the game playable again. And I think everybody's going to love it. I think we're going to have a ton of new decks, a ton of new things represented, and I think it's just going to be better for everyone. And just to be quite frank, I think anybody who doesn't share that opinion either hasn't played the game long enough or hasn't played the game at a high enough level, because every single top player that I know shares that opinion.
Yeah, and I think many people know, just as I spend a lot of time in content, like I have the luxury of just getting to play fun, not competitive at all times decks, like the Loki mid-range thing, right? Like that would never do well in a Grand Open, but it's really fun. Like there are other things that you can do in that deck, and yes, it does run Axe-Spider because you have Infinite Mothership or Infinity Mothership, whatever the card is called now, at the top of my head, because you want to protect your Nexus, because it's like the mecha theme. Like that is still a very on-theme deck, and you don't have the other parts of it that make it as toxic to play against as things like Axe-Spider. And going back to Zach's point, the other thing a lot of people know is that I am kind of a middle person between a lot of the different teams, or at least I've been trying to get all the feedback from the various teams and hear what they have to say on it. And obviously I don't kiss and tell between the different testing groups and all that. And I have just gotten a very depressing amount of messages of people that have just flat out said, I hate what this game has become, or I hate Depths. It is no longer fun. And again, these are people, as Zack again had mentioned, that are play testing anywhere between 4 to 8 hours a day. And I cannot possibly fathom a world where multiple different teams are testing for 4 to 8 hours each, all in different groups, right? There's probably not much cross collaboration happening. And they all come to the same conclusion that this is no longer a great game for the format that it is in today. So something has to be going on where so many different teams all come together and share the same opinion, and then, of course, voice it to me, that it's honestly mind-numbing that we have some differencing of opinion that is located within the Facebook group or social media. And again, everyone is going to have an opinion, and again, to Zach's point, you just might not have tested enough to come to that same conclusion. But I've seen it and I've heard it time and time again that it would be impossible, strictly impossible, that we do not get a ban in, was it October, I guess, is when the last Grand Open is going to happen. So based on the dev update, again, they did say, just for a reference, again, I did put it in my last video, the devs did mention that they're not going to change anything for the Grand Open seasons. Everything is going to stay consistent so that everyone's playing the same format, but they will reevaluate it once they have more data at the end of it. But again, we saw top 16 lists. We saw the impacts of depths. We know even more Axe Spider lists were in top 32. It is very much a problem in the format, and honestly, I don't know what else we can do at this point. I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. I feel bad for people that have to go play Axe Spider in Monroeville, but I'm going to be very blunt about it. If you want to get an invite, if your goal is strictly, I want to perform the best I can, get in the reps, play Axe Spider, and take it to the event and do well. I literally got top 32 with 0 game. Well, I can't say 0 games because I played it at Gen Con, but 0 games with Axe Spider since Gen Con. Like, it is just that broken, people. It is chain all over again, and I can't believe I have to live through this twice, but It is what it is.
There's basically 4 decks you can play right now. You can play Axe Spider. You can play a purple deck that hates on Axe Spider. You can play aggro to try to beat Axe Spider. Or you can play a red deck that hates on depths.
Yep.
Those are the decks you play. And it really sucks. Like, I've never had an experience in my life before where I've been so miserable testing for a game I should like. And I mean, Ryan Miles and Zack came over the morning of the tournament, and they're like, "Are you confident?" And we're just like, "No, we just want this to be over. We literally want to blink, and we want the day to be over. Like, I'm not confident at all. I hate this format. I hate playing this game." To be honest, I had a great time at the tournament. And a large part of that was just the people. Like, everybody there was awesome. Everybody was super nice to me, super welcoming. All the top players that I played, it was good matches. They were good players. There were some matches where Depths rode, and well, GG. But other than that, I mean, I had a good time because of the people, and I want these people to still want to play the game, and I want them to have a reason to test. And it's tough because, I mean, you can just go in the Discord and see all the ideas people have for decks, and so many of them just get shut off from Depths or Axe Spider. It's just a really tough situation to be in, and like, I mean, I'm literally a purple player that's played Depths since before the card even existed. I had a test print of it that I put in a sleeve in front of another card. I've been playing since before Palm Springs. I've been playing 4 Depths since I knew about the card. And it's, I mean, to be honest, I love purple. I love the color. Depths is the best purple card. It always has been. I will gut my own deck and my own color to make this game better. Like, I'm at that point. And to be honest, there's so many other good Nexus we have. We have Impaler Forest. We have Dreadrock. You know, we have PSV, we have Rotting Swamp. Like, we're at a point where we don't need to be limited by these deck building constraints. And like, we can actually build really nice decks that don't start with 4 Ice Shield, 4 Burning Force, 4 Netherworld Depths, some amount of Thorn Prison, some amount of Dream Bomb for Axe Spider. It really is just tedious and tiring to just only be able to build 60% of a deck.
Yep, and I'll have to go back and put the image up here as well. We're having some jokes about in the Discord where people are like, "Oh, I'll show off 30% of my deck," and it's literally just all those cards Zack had just mentioned. But it's a meme, but that is kind of where the format is at now. And you know, I think Zack also made a great point. Like, if you talk again to the community who are going to the Grand Opens, who have played at the Pro Tour, which, again, I want to take a small update here. The community is great. That is like the one thing I will say. Like, I had a very bad time personally at the event, and that's strictly because of my rounds. I probably didn't make that clear enough, but I want to make that very clear now. It's like, there was 2 rounds that, you know, Depths rode, and the entire rounds were decided by that. There was 2 other rounds where I played against Nova, and spoiler, that's just like a 90-10 matchup, and it's not fun for either player, I'm sure. And it's just like there was 2 rounds that felt like it mattered otherwise for the entire event. So like, that was just not fun. But again, seeing, for me, I know a lot of these people from Force of Will or other card games, and the people there are great, and they really do love the game. But if you talk to people who are playing purple and Axe Spider decks and are performing well at a high level, they will tell you, no, gut this shit, get it out of the game, and I will finally be able to have freedom in deck building again. And I think, again, as someone who spends a lot of time playing yellow jank and green jank, which is a lot of fun, by the way, you know, I see a world where there is all these fun decks that can become a lot better once Depths is removed. And especially, you know, yellow by proxy gets a lot more breathing room when not every single competitive deck is starting off with 4 Burning Forces. So maybe this is just a yellow player's cry for help, you know, who knows? But I think there's enough, you know, higher leveled players who are voicing their concerns within the community that all say ban Axe Spider, ban Depths, and the world's in a better place. So we will see what happens when that comes around the corner. But any last thoughts, comments, concerns here, Zach, before we get into like the final roundup and the final shout outs on the Tulsa Grand Open recap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like even after all this, there's still going to be people who are disagreeing with us. So just for those people, special message for you. Tell me why, if I'm low on health and my opponent is attacking into me, that I should be rewarded and they should be punished for playing the game. Because there were so many matches that I was just losing. And I put depths down. And then I drew my cards. And guess what I drew? Thorn Prison, Dream Bomb, Deadly Balance, whatever I need. And then save my Ice Shield. And then now I'm an Ice Shield up. And then now they're an Ice Shield down. I wasn't better than them. I just played a card that broke the rules of the game and punished them for playing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just consider those game states. If you don't come to that conclusion, you probably actually just need to test more. It's just one of those things that's better for the game overall. I mean, to be honest, like in some sense, I'm sad to see it go. I've played purple since the get-go. But more than anything, I'm really happy to see it go. I don't want that card in my game. That card is toxic. And so is Axe Spider. And I mean, there's just so much room for skill expression and deck building that I just don't think we need to limit ourselves with this anymore. I think it's just too much.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to have to deal with a little bit longer. We got a month more of Grand Opens to go. Of course, Monroeville is going to be here just under 2 weeks away. And then I'm pretty sure there's a Grand Open like every single weekend until the end of September where the lore set drops. And then, of course, we will have a solid month of nothing while we wait to go into the Pro Tour. And, I'm personally really excited for the Green Tokiwa, the lore set, but I think everyone can agree that the rest of it's maybe not as exciting. But we'll see. Hey, we'll find out what the world holds for us there when we get to testing with it. And maybe the generals are great. Who knows? But with that at the end here, I want to give you a chance to give any kind of final shout outs. We've talked a lot about testing partners and all that good stuff, but, just any final kudos that you want to give out to the people out there who have helped you, get this amazing, amazing win in Tulsa and, come out with a nice little chunk of change, at the end of it.
So absolutely. I mean, first off, you got to shout out Team Ryan and Zack. They're the homies. We were in Facebook chat with them for weeks, like literally all day, just like sending deck lists, messaging, theory crafting, and then at night testing. But I mean, biggest shout out over anybody has to be Ryan Matas, my partner. I mean, we were testing like 6 to 8 hours a day, every single day. And we were on the same deck. Unfortunately, I got luckier than him with it. He bubbled out. We had the exact same score, 5-2. He ended up placing 9th. To be honest, with this deck in that format, in that top 8 bracket, it was literally whichever one of us made it that could have ended up champion. So for us to get the same score and him to end up 9th and then me to end up 1st was literally just a matter of variance. So I want to say he had absolutely the same chance of taking it. He was the only person to have topped every set 1 Grand Open and the Pro Tour. And he absolutely deserves the shout out and the recognition. I wouldn't be half the player I am without him. He raised me from the ground up. I mean, I was messing up flash timing before we were playing. I think he must have fast tracked me, years of experience. So I would say that the only reason I'm as good of a player as I am is really just him, really just all the other wonderful people that I surround myself with. And that includes Bean. We love Bean, online winner. Amani, love him, absolutely amazing. And I mean, I've just made so many amazing friends in this game. Like TD tested with us leading up to the Pro Tour. They're wonderful. They're great people. I have to shout out to all my testing partners. Even all my locals. These are the people who have like been with me and supported me and stuck with me. And one of my best friends, Travis, he's awesome. He always features me on his channel, shouts me out. We always theory craft together. He took one of the purple decks we had been brewing and he won the online tournament with it. So I'm just so blessed to have such a wonderful, loving community. We got Jax on the mic, did an absolutely wonderful job. He's a DMV local, fantastic casting. We've got yourself, of course, speaking up for the community, doing what we need, because if somebody didn't speak up, where would it be? Of course, we have a Spear as well. I mean, I just really do thank everybody in the community. Shout outs most to Team Ryan and Zack. Ryan Matas just absolutely couldn't have done it without him. And Bean and Amani, for all the support. And I'm just grateful to be here with everyone. I can't wait to finally get to the point where we can play a better game and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the most important thing here right at the end of the video is that we are one community. We are not always going to agree on every single thing at the end of the day, but there is a lot of love that goes around, especially at the North American events. And I hope, I can't speak for the European or other communities, but I hope that at least your communities are also sharing the love, because it's been It's been really great. Like the last time that I really felt like the community was this together, like Flesh and Blood had it to some degree, but it really reminds me a lot of like the Final Fantasy TCG community. And I still love a lot of those guys as well, which by the way, great game, great people who are running that still. So that's a special shout out. If you like the Final Fantasy IP, give it some love. Really good people over there. And especially in SoCal with like the Late Shop and Matthew Okimoto, who's been now in One Piece. A lot of people might know him too, but again, solid people all around. And I think that's the most important thing to remember. Like, we're probably going to have some more heated discussions over the next month until something happens or, wherever the data might take us based on the results and whatnot. But at this point, I think we've all said a lot on it. And of course, we have now this video that's going to be on the topic as well. But at this point, all we can do is wait and see. And of course, I'll be going to the Monroeville Grand Open. I'll be playing, slinging something. I'm not sure yet. Probably green or yellow because I want to have some fun. And I don't think I even asked you, but, Zach, will you be going to the Monroeville Grand Open?
Well, Cosmic, I got to rep the champion Soul Core, and most important thing is I got to rep the champion map.
Don't flash the mat. I love it so much. All right, you got to show it to me in PA, man.
You want it again?
Yeah,
right, here,
throw it up one more time for the camera.
Beautiful.
Man, I love it. I know the community is split on it, but I love the design so much.
They're split on?
It's good. Yeah.
This thing's beautiful. I would sell it. It's expensive, but I'm keeping this. This is amazing.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of it.
So I don't want to go, but I feel I should go. We got to continue Ryan's streak after all, right?
Yes.
So he's 3 for 4. Technically, he's never not top 9 if you think about it.
True.
So,
we'll allow that. We'll allow that one.
Well, we got to keep up the streak. I gotta do my best to compete with Caleb to become the first 2-time champion. See what I can do. And hey, if all else fails and I decide I just hate the game. Maybe I'll just take my Winter Tokiwa out, sleeve it up, and play Green White Elephant.
Let's go. Get the ultimate flex. You have the mat. You have the Tokiwa winner card as well. Throw a Saga in there just for good measure. Bring it all together. Would absolutely love to see it. So thank you so much. And once again, huge congrats to Zack, the Zack Attack Bell, for their Tulsa Grand Open winning, going to the Pro Tour, I'm sure, and all that good stuff. You can find him with his shiny little, metal name tag, as it were, at the events, in case you don't recognize that beautiful mug when you're at the event itself. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you all in the next Grand Open very soon. So on behalf of Zack and myself, my friends, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.